you couldn't try harder to make it look like a cover-up. I'm not saying it is a cover-up. I'm saying you could, if you were to do that, this is what you would do. You'd say,
"Is this true?"
Yaps. It's in the name.
Man, this Jeffrey Epstein case is just so freaking weird, to be honest. It's just weird. It felt like Rachel Zegler in Hollywood, just because this feels like the modern day JFK assassination, where it just feels clear as day that the government is trying to hide something. Now, why would you say that? Well, here's about a 60-second clip of Kash Patel, who's somebody who I was a big fan of, becoming much less of a fan now, but just listen to his rhetoric, listen to how his tone was around this case.
Go. Let's listen to this.
Kash Patel, current director of the FBI, 6 months ago, right before he started.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? What the?
And it's like, yeah? You're telling me this is the same guy who's just like, yeah, there's nothing on the list, we saw the videos, there's nothing there? It's so frustrating because I feel like this Epstein case was blown up as getting so much attention from people like Kash with that kind of rhetoric.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word, or whoever that guy is, as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything.
And this is why one of the reasons why Donald Trump got elected, so that this list would actually be revealed.
Man.
And we can't even get basic documents out. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get.
I think
It seems like nothing has changed.
a lot of people are. Yeah. No, I sure think a lot of people are. I don't know what to say. Either he has a target or his family got bought out. I don't know, man. I wonder why.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
That is that.
Oh my God. So there's either two outcomes. One, it's he's nefarious and, you know, he's been intentionally bought out and, you know, intentionally hiding this information from the public. Or option B, not nearly as nefarious. The dude was just talking shit, trying to get the job, got the job, didn't really know what he was talking about, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But unfortunately, the flames have been stroked enough to where it is a big freaking deal. Now, the White House, Donald Trump did respond to some of these, you know, questions. Let's see what he has to say about it.
talking about Epstein, the missing footage, the White House's response, including the fact that they're saying you should stop asking questions about it. How dare you bring it up at a time when they just released new information about it?
Can you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure. If I
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been
Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been dead forever.
talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
The level of gaslighting here is unbelievable.
Yeah.
These are the same people that have led us on for months that they're going to release the Epstein files, that it's transparency time. They're the ones that did the press op with them holding up the Epstein.
It's unfortunate because once more, and should be a lesson for everybody not to idolize Donald Trump, but idolize ideas, right? Because people will never live up to ideas, and people always fall short of your own expectations. But this was such a self-own Epstein Files Phase 1. You know, they handed out this binder that already had the same public information that everyone else had. And it's unfortunate to see that this administration seems to be walking in line with, you know, the deep state.
Epstein binders with the influencers. They're the ones who said in 2023 that we would better serve the American people by going after Epstein's client list. In fact,
This was the biggest thing. No one wants the CP to be released back to the internet. Nobody wants that. But what we want is the people that are involved in the CP to face the consequences of it. I don't want the girls, the young boys that are involved in that. I don't want their information. I don't want them to be protected. But it's the people who are doing the act in those videos. That's what I want to see attacked. And honestly, if Jeffrey Epstein killed himself or not, I don't think it makes that big of a deal. Does it have does it apply some stuff down the road? Sure. But both options do, whether he took his own life or whether he was murdered in his cell. Both options really say that there's more to be unburied here. But it's really the people on the island. That's what we want to know, and that's who we want to see face charges.
They're the ones who went on podcasts saying they're going to release the Epstein list.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
That is an important thing, or was an important thing until there was no Epstein list. Turns out there's nothing to see here, nobody to charge.
This one makes me think it's more nefarious and a cover-up than just people talking shit, not really knowing, trying to get the job, and then realizing that this wasn't that big of a deal and we were just talking shit.
Epstein was trafficking to himself the entire time, and it is a desecration to even bring it up. Now, why this is so disgusting is the DOJ chose to release it now, okay? In case you don't know how bad news gets released in the era of PR and all this kind of stuff, they choose the timing, and they always choose the most inconvenient times to talk about stuff, the busiest news cycles. It is a very busy news cycle. There are a lot of things going on that are important.
Yeah.
But that's why they released it now, because they know nobody's going to like this, right? They know that. So they release it now, and then they scold people for talking about it. You get how gross this is? You guys are the ones desecrating. If anyone's desecrating anything, it's you guys. You guys chose to release it now, okay? So to play this cynical card of how dare you talk about it at a time like this? You chose the time. A few months ago, it wasn't
It kind of makes Donald Trump look like he is a part of the client list, which has been a rumor, a conspiracy theory since he was running back in 2016.
A desecration to brag about the transparency, right? But now the old Epstein list apparently can't be released because it doesn't exist. Now, it's a desecration to even bring it up. How could you talk about this New York financier? Luckily for us, Pam Bondi does actually address the missing minute of footage. Now we're going to talk about that.
The video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing.
That should be super easy. Just bring in last night's video, and then when it shows that it skips the minute, then it makes more credibility to your argument. But if there's a minute missing every single day, wouldn't it start a minute earlier every single day, and after 24 days should be a full day ahead, or after 60 days or whatever it is should be a full 24 hours behind? After so long, you'd be a full day, full week, full month behind, and it just wouldn't be synced up. You guys know what I'm saying? Because you're missing the minute. So that seems flawed. That seems like a flawed response the moment you think about it a little bit.
That a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
And that's it, guys. Apparently, every night, the surveillance system of this prison had 1 minute missing, okay?
Right,
one key minute.
Do you think, so the Epstein list and all that is done. The Epstein case is done. Apparently, he did commit suicide, and there's no list. Yeah, that's kind of what everyone thinks about too. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's exactly what I needed from you. I love you.
Middle of the night. We don't know why, but it's the whole system. Apparently, the whole system that went out 10 days before. The part of the system that was working, 1 minute was always missing. But surely there's nothing that could have happened during that minute.
There's nothing nefarious, right?
I'm not even on the team of it has to be that someone killed. I'm agnostic to that. What I am saying is the absolute confidence with which they come out and say, it proves everything. Yes, there's a minute missing. Yes, we don't know what happened. But nothing to see here, guys. We're closing the case. I mean, you couldn't try harder to make it look like a cover-up. I'm not saying it is a cover-up. I'm saying you could, if you were to do that, this is what you would do. You'd say,
is this true?
Hey, there's always minutes missing from our footage. Your prison guards would falsify records and then fall asleep during the key hours. Your security system that was monitoring the actual cell block would go out. And then you would claim the camera that was recording that didn't have a good line of sight, which had an obstructed view where someone could slip by the stairwell without anyone noticing. You'd claim that was definitive proof that nobody entered. So you can't blame people for asking questions given the powerful people involved when there's these coincidental mistakes, right?
I would also argue that most of MAGA base, right, the people who voted for Donald Trump, have a large distrust in the government. And I don't even think this has to do anything with Donald Trump. I just think the distrust in government as a whole, not even just America, but all over the world, is probably at an all-time high, right?
The first attempt, which put Jeffrey Epstein on a watch, that footage was captured on tape, but they failed to preserve it. That was a whole other saga, was, oh, they just preserved the wrong footage, so it's lost to time, right? That's also the same time where Epstein accused his cellmate of trying to kill him, by the way.
Tonight, a lawyer who met with Jeffrey Epstein days before his death says Epstein told him he'd never tried to kill himself 3 weeks before, despite jail reports saying he did.
Sean says Epstein revealed that a few days earlier, his former cellmate, Nicholas Tartaglione, had placed something around his neck.
And he put a rope around Mr. Epstein's throat and then pulled it. That left the abrasion.
Tartaglione was a former cop on trial for murdering 4 people. He used a twist tie to strangle one of them.
But apparently we can't ask questions about that because, you know, they chose to release it at an inconvenient time, and therefore asking questions about it is somehow evil, wrong, or undignified. It's a desecration. Now, besides the 1 minute missing, Pam Bondi also addressed the tens of thousands of videos that she said that she had access to, now saying that they're largely irrelevant child exploitation material.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day.
And it doesn't have to see the light of day. No, I don't want that shit to see the light of day. But what I do want to be happen is if you've seen it and other people have seen it on this team, they need to go after the people in those videos and then link them to the videos. You don't have to show the video. You can blur out. There's a lot of different things that we can do to prove without a doubt that that person's in the video for the child exploitation kind of content and put those people in prison. Right? That's what we want to see.
Never gonna see the light of day, that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I agree that probably some of this is true and it shouldn't see the light of day, but that isn't just what the FBI said they found. They also said they had videos and images of Epstein himself with minors. And was anyone else on these videos? We don't know, and they're not gonna release it. And finally, they also addressed this whole agent angle where Alex Acosta said back in the day that Epstein belonged to intelligence. The idea is he was working for someone. There's been reports that he had CIA meetings on his calendar or that he might have been an FBI informant. Pam Bondi comes in and says she doesn't know anything about it.
To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that.
Now, if true, this is pretty unbelievable because this is the same person who just saw all the files, reviewed all the files that were on her desk. Yeah. No idea if he was a member of intelligence. Like, how is that possible that you review?
God, Coffee is right when he is saying, like, man, you're not saying it's a cover-up, but they are making it seem, they're trying so hard to make it seem like a cover-up.
The entire file. And does anyone actually believe that? Like, we're going to hear definitive stuff on this? If they haven't released it now, if they're scolding you now, do you think really they're going to open that can of worms back up? How can you really say you have no idea if that's the case if you've reviewed the entire file? There's really no way to see this release as anything other than an abject humiliation of the people involved here, and it's mostly their own fault. I mean, these are the same people who engaged in the conspiratorial thinking of, hey, this is definitely a cover-up, this is definitely more to see here. Then they get in, and then they say the same stuff. So really it comes down to they overpromised, they underdelivered, and then now they're scolding everybody involved for expecting the things that they were promised. Even Peter Doocy of Fox News, who's not exactly a left-leaning guy, was pressing the White House secretary on exactly this, these promises that failed to live up to the hype.
Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really...
Stop taking this angle because they understand it. The angle that should be, how? Then why is Giselle in prison? Why is Giselle in prison? Is it because of trafficking? Or who is she trafficking to? To the people on that list? Maybe we should figure that out.
Really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars.
Yeah, they're more than committed to bad people getting put behind bars, except for anyone who is involved with Epstein. Where are the Epstein bad guys who were on that island, who were fraternizing with Epstein? Are we to believe that none of them did anything incriminating? It was just Epstein by himself, and all these people loved hanging out with him? I mean, we have reports. Like, the crazy thing is all this stuff is open. We have reports that Epstein's whole house was bugged specifically to record people in their private moments, and we're supposed to pretend like none of this existed.
He showed me where the men monitoring everything were. I looked on the cameras and I saw toilet, bed, toilet, bed. It was very obvious that they were like monitoring private moments.
So the idea that it's just Epstein, there were multiple bedrooms being recorded, but apparently maybe he was just checking in to make sure they got a good night's sleep. He just wanted to make sure these millionaires and billionaires were getting their 8 hours. So yeah, the level of gaslighting here is unbelievable, and that's gonna be where we have to wrap it. Don't forget, crime is legal merch.
It's crazy that crime is legal, but let me know what you guys think. I mean, personally, I think this is a cover-up. I don't know where the truth starts and the lies begin. But man, you can smell the gas in here from all the gaslighting that our own government is doing to us. But as always, I challenge you guys, make somebody laugh today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.